Hello there, and welcome back to the channel. This review contains full spoilers for Daredevil Born Again, so if you have not caught up to episode 3, I highly recommend you come back after you've seen the episode. Okay, so this week there isn't a ton to go over. The first two episodes did a lot to set up the overall tone and themes of the show. Episode 3 was pretty plot heavy and wrapped up the White Tiger arc. Let's just get the big shock of the episode out of the way. Bro, y'all did it again. How are you gonna treat Hector so dirty?
Why? Why? Why?
My disappointment is immeasurable, and my day is ruined.
Man, White Tiger was quickly becoming one of my favorite characters in the show, and I love his costume. Now, of course, a lot of people guess he was killed off because the actor, Cabal de los Reyes, unfortunately passed away before the show's release. While it's possible that was a motivating factor for the reshoots, White Tiger's death is actually comic accurate. In Daredevil 1998, issues 39 and 40, Hector Ayala is put on trial for the alleged murder of a police officer. Much like in Born Again, Hector is wrongfully accused and Matt Murdock represented him. There's a lot of characters who show up to give their expert opinions like Doctor Strange and Reed Richards. You even got the Defenders. But ultimately you've got similar themes of trying to prove what it means to be a hero and how that applies in a courthouse. There's a similar dynamic of the law versus vigilantes and asking the audience which side is correct. I find that whole discussion really interesting. However, what was different in the comic was that Hector was actually found guilty of all charges. In a set of rage, White Tiger causes a commotion in the courtroom, throwing police officers around. In the chaos, Hector picks up a gun and runs away. On the steps of the courthouse, police officers surround him. Believing his life would be over either way, he commits suicide by cop. I can't tell if this is more tragic than the show or not. On the one hand, you have another example of the justice system absolutely failing someone. Seeing how that tears a person up. You come out of this comic with a little sense of hope, even though Daredevil does persuade the actual killer to come forward. There's this deep sense of loss and despair as you see a White Tiger's deteriorating state. But with Born Again, we were given a lot of hope. With seemingly insurmountable odds, Matt was able to get Hector out of prison, only for him to needlessly die soon after, only for all that hope to be snuffed out. The story of Hector Ayala is a sad one. Hopefully it acts as a sobering reminder of the cruelty of our world. Now, in the comics, the mantle of White Tiger does go to Hector's sister Ava, who is briefly mentioned in the episode. I'm curious to see if she'll show up in the season. I quickly wanted to mention I loved the scene in the prison room where Matt and Hector were talking. White Tiger reminiscing on his past in Puerto Rico, the sound of the coquis frog that he misses, the feel of the beautiful beaches. Daredevil's response was a great line showing us his mind. You might be surprised at how much you don't miss being him. You'll see the beaches again. Don't worry. Man, I'm getting depressed again. I mean, it was just so sad hearing the sound of the frog in the beach during the credits. Ugh. Now, it definitely sucks that we won't see more of Hector Ayala in Daredevil Born Again, but the implications of his death really interest me in the building of the Punisher conspiracy. Of course, we all saw how a hooded figure wearing a Punisher suit shot Hector. I mean, we all know that wasn't actually Frank Castle, right? We've now seen another officer wearing a Punisher tattoo, and with the end of episode 3, it seems like Hector's killer is probably associated with the NYPD in some fashion. In terms of the plot, it's very possible Fisk is using all these people to make people turn against vigilantes, specifically the Punisher. We saw how mad he was when White Tiger won the court case. Having someone masked as the Punisher going around and killing people is exactly the type of behavior Fisk would use to get the public to turn on Frank. We already saw this in the comics when he used one of Muse's bloody murals against the Punisher. That seems to be a big plot point this season. But more than the simple plot of it all, the use of the Punisher's imagery might be an analogy for how real-world groups use the logo. In recent years, we've seen the Punisher logo used far outside the context of his character counterpart. This has generally been used by right-leaning people who want to express their freedom and patriotism. Now, none of this is to say that's a bad thing. So, as an example, This is one of the gun safes we own, and as you can tell, it's got the Punisher logo on it. Um, I doubt Marvel actually licensed this here. But let's keep it a buck 50, Yuri. The reason we got this is because it looks badass. I mean, it looks threatening. It's one of Marvel's best logos, right? And I'm assuming many of the people who have put these logos on their flags or their cars or whatever, like it's because it looks cool, right? And I don't have a huge problem with that, especially given the example I just gave. However, the logo is sometimes, maybe oftentimes, used as a political symbol, usually for more conservative groups or ideologies. Some might argue it's even been used by hate groups. Again, it gives off that badass vibe, akin to the Don't Tread on Me flag. I can see why it's been used, but the Punisher was never meant to be political. At least it was never supposed to be affiliated with any specific political group. As co-creator Jerry Conway puts it, the Punisher represents the failure of the justice system. He's fundamentally a critique of it, an example of social failure. Look, I want to emphasize that the Punisher is not a hate symbol. It is not solely used for political purposes. Again, we have the symbol at our house because it looks cool. If you have a Punisher logo at your place, don't feel like you need to take it down. I just find it interesting that Daredevil Born Again will likely give a commentary on how the logo has been used outside the context of its original meaning. I'm thinking about making a much longer and research video on this topic after all the episodes of Born Again have finished releasing. I just find this whole plotline super interesting, both in story and out of it. But that's all I got for you guys this time. Let me know what your thoughts on episode 3 were. Did you love it? Did you hate it? Let me know down below. Thanks for watching, and may the Force be with you.